Are you ready to hit the road and live your best van life? Wait! Before you go, get the inside scoop from experienced van lifers on the top things they wish they knew before starting their journey. Don't miss out on these valuable insights to ensure your van life adventure is a success. Prior to starting van life, I wanted to know all the things that people wished they had known before they started. I've curated a list just for you of all the top things. We're going to start with wisdom experienced van lifers wish they had known ahead of time regarding the costs associated with van life. How much campsites were really going to cost and how hard they might be to find. Campsites can certainly get expensive, but there is a lot of free camping across our country. You can use apps like iOverlander, CampSpot, The Dirt. Those apps you can filter for free campsites. How much it would cost in gas to travel. Yes, gas does tend to fluctuate all across the country. And so I use Gas Buddy, and it shows me, based on my location, where the least expensive gas is. It's a great app to help save you money. How expensive it really is to have a van with mileage on it. If you are purchasing an older used van, you definitely want to make sure it's something that's reliable. When I bought my 2006 Toyota Sienna, it had 197,000 miles on it. I took it to a mechanic and they checked it out and everything had been done as far as the preventative maintenance. So I did the maintenance for the 200,000 miles, and he said there's no reason why I couldn't get 400,000 miles out of the car. You also want to have money set aside for routine maintenance and repairs. I love my older vehicle. I could spend less money on a used minivan and start van life much easier. I have a recommended video for you. It's called Jumpstart Van Life with a minivan camper van. You can check it out up here, and I'll also put all the links in the description below. Know how you're going to make money or have an income stream. Budgeting for expenses doesn't change just because you live van life. And unless you have a large savings account or a current job, don't think you won't need income. There are many ideas for remote jobs. You just have to do your research. If you work for a company, see if you can do your work remotely. There's lots of articles and videos on the internet, ways you can earn money while on the road. Now let's talk about what people wish they knew about weather before starting van life. How crazy hot it gets in the summer. There are weather apps like RV Weather that can help you prepare for what the upcoming weather is. And you may find that you have to move around to avoid hotter weather. I ran across a route to stay in 70-degree average weather year-round. I think I'm going to try this out. Bad weather. Do you mind being trapped in a van for a long time without being able to stand up? Hot or cold extremes. Know how you will handle both. This is a good point. Both hot and cold weather can be extreme, and rainy days, severe weather, you got to be prepared. Let's talk about what people wish they knew about what they needed when they started van life. I wish I'd known I only needed about 1/8 of the clothes I thought I did. I carried way too much stuff around the first year. Also, don't go buying all the gadgets. Just get the necessities first until you're a few months in. I could have saved thousands if I hadn't bought all the crap I never used. I definitely think this is wise advice. And I even have a video that I made earlier, the decluttering blueprint for van life bliss, how to downsize like a pro, especially made for people thinking about starting van life. It has some great tips and tricks in there, and I will link it up here, and it'll also be in the description below. Be organized. Be aware of what you use every day. I put everyday stuff in a box a few weeks before I left as I used things, and then left everything else besides stuff like a first aid kit. Small containers and designated bags help keep organized. Organization is key to living in small spaces. Expect that this will take you a while to figure out your organization plan. It's truly interesting to discover how little you need. The inconveniences don't compare to the many amazing things I've experienced and the people I've met. Real life is happening in front of me at all times, and I'm fully alert. I typically rewear some clothing. I just wear them for a few days, then change and end up showering less than usual. We are trading some everyday inconveniences for the freedom of the open road. You do rewear a lot of clothes, and showering less is not uncommon, but this person is right. The inconveniences don't compare to the amazing experiences and people you'll meet along the way. Sometimes we find we haven't thought enough about how all the things will work in van life. Logistically speaking, here are the most common things people wish they knew beforehand. Know what you need for energy. Get a solar pack and batteries, because if you're running only on the battery of the van, it runs out quickly. And that's a problem when it's either very cold or very hot. Power is very important. Important for your phone. Maybe you work from your van. And the hot and cold, I use rechargeable fans. And I do have a small electric heater that works when it gets really cold, just to take the chill out of the air. But that is something to consider. I use an EcoFlow Delta 2 for my power, and I love it. It's one of the best things I've gotten. I have a video about unleashing the power in your minivan camping, EcoFlow Delta 2 review, and that's up here, and you'll also see that in the comments below. Figure out your mail situation or service. If going with a private mailbox, set up bank accounts first and anything else that may not accept a PMB. This is another important step. You need to have an address for insurance, bank, healthcare, whatever you may need a physical address for. And there are a lot of services out there that you can check into and see which one works best for you. There's escapees.com, travelingmailbox.com, myrvmail.com. I've never used any of them because I use my parents' address in Nebraska as my permanent mailing address and for all my insurance and banking needs. Don't overthink where you're going to sleep for the night looking for the perfect spot. Good enough is good enough. Trust your gut. Starting out, I really think it's wise to stay in hotel parking lots, Cracker Barrels, or truck stops, even Walmarts, until you kind of get settled in. There is definitely a learning curve, and the first few nights will be scary, even if you are prepared. So it helps to be in one of those places that you maybe will feel a little bit safer. Definitely keep your safety in mind. And I have another video on van life safety, how to stay safe while solo traveling. Again, that's up here, and it'll be in the comments down below. When building out my van, I never considered the space I'd need for all my dirty laundry. It's kind of funny because that happened to me too. You don't know what you will need or what will work best for you until you just do it. Everyone's wants and needs are different. You can never be too prepared. What about a trial run? This could solve a lot of uncertainty. Here are what people had to say about the best ways to make sure you're ready. Live in your van before building it out if possible. We came to despise our Class B floor plan over time. You'd hate it if you went to all the work of building out a van just to find out it doesn't work for you. And this is why a trial run is important. Give yourself a chance to experience van life before making important decisions that are hard to change. Practice at home first. Get the clothes together you'll use. That includes towels, bedding, etc. Get a watt meter and really know how much electricity you'll use. Then try and use just those appliances. Rent a van, even if it's a U-Haul van, and practice with that for a week or so, longer if you can afford it. Then budget and add 25% to that at a minimum. Try and stick with it. Try living without all of the modern conveniences that we tend to have when we live in a house. See where you find difficulty. See what's going to work for you and what isn't. A trial run was great. Wake up to the angst of having to figure out where to safely park overnight and to the splendid exploration of this beautiful country. I advise you to test it out and maybe start with a van to enjoy long weekends. I shed tears in those 2 months of both exhaustion and exhilaration. Me too. There are usually lots of tears and lots of exhaustion. You second guess yourself, but it does get better. Expect some of the unexpected things. Doing car or van life while tied to a job in one city is awful. Make sure you have adequate income sources to be able to travel and have emergency repair fund at all times of several thousand. I enjoy traveling, and that's why I chose van life. I know some people do this out of necessity, but living in a van out of necessity is very different and requires a whole different train of thought. We all have our own ideas about what van life looks like, but let's look at what we wish we knew about the reality of van life before we started. I wish people had explained that van life is cheaper, but not as much as you think. You don't pay rent or the household bills, but you do pay bills. Living in a van is amazing, but going from a quick commute to and from work to being in it 24/7 means it will wear, and some of it will wear out. That's not bad, but it's real. It's more than curling up in the back and napping in a rest area. Van life is about living life in a van. Food, water, comfort, security, entertainment, and gas. The Instagram pictures are sweet, but no more real than an interior design magazine depicts a New York apartment. Living in your van means doing dishes a lot and cleaning all the time, especially the floors. Van life certainly does have its challenges, and we tend to think the challenges will be easy or we will be able to ignore them or overcome them very easily. I do have another recommended video. It's called The Truth About Van Life, Challenges No One Talks About. That's up here and in the comments below. I wish I knew how stressful it would be not knowing where I would stay next, constantly applying to jobs instead of enjoying the current moment. I also found that I never get to take my shoes off. Trust me, the floor will never be clean enough for that. Look into working as a camp host for the campgrounds. That way you have income and a safe place to stay. Finding places to park does get easier. Sometimes I really feel like I just need to regroup. And so I may find a state park and stay for a couple of days just to maybe calm down, regroup, and figure out my plan. I really don't come up with a plan ahead of time. I'm kind of a fly by the seat of my pants girl. And so I don't have a lot of plans ahead of time, but I do get to the point where I want to research some things before I get there. So that's always a good time for me to find a state park, camp out for a couple of days, and do my research. I love being by myself. There are many chores to keep it clean and tidy. Cleaning is different in a van, and really, I have like a little hand broom that I use a lot because you're constantly dragging in different things. And it's just, even if it's not messy, there's just things that you need to do to keep things tidy. You're in a small space. And so it's very different cleaning in a small space rather than a large house. Adventure is always around us. And if you spend time living in the moment, you can savor the flavor of the adventure. Living in the moment, yes. Stop living life through a camera lens or behind your phone. Several years ago, I had the chance to ride a ferry. Like I drove my car on the ferry, and that was something I had never experienced before. And it was so much fun. And we were going across the water, and there were a bunch of dolphins. And I spent so much time trying to be ready to take pictures or a video when the dolphins were actually going by. And I finally just had to stop myself because I thought, I'm not going to see this. I'm going to ruin this whole experience and not have any pictures and not have any memories of just enjoying the moment. You'll find less is more in a small space. Disposable dishes take up too much room. And just like any life, you'll meet not nice people and maybe some of the very nicest. You'll have the same bad days as you had in a normal home, but your good days will be the best. The best thing ever is you get to move if you get tired of looking at the same scenery. Van life is really what you make of it. You have choice and freedom by living this lifestyle. The best advice is to ignore most advice and follow your own intuition. My experience, especially in smaller spaces, has been that learning to live with less can be a rewarding and freeing experience. It can also be challenging, especially at first. Ultimately, I find that less is more. Obviously, your experience will vary, but that's the fun of it: discovery and adventure. I couldn't say it better. You have to find joy in your journey, and it's all about finding your next adventure and discovering what you never knew about yourself. Van life is definitely what you make of it. We've been doing it for months now, and we go from place to place pretty often. So we're making a million decisions every day, and it's exhausting. Definitely a smaller rig is better, easier to park, to find spots to park in, less supplies to build it out, less gas to fill it up. There are a million decisions to make, and I chose a minivan because of the size. And although you meet people, you're not being able to ask somebody, what do you want to do? Do you want to go for a hike? Where do you want to go eat? It's all decisions that you're making yourself. And really, those first few months, you're going to learn so much about yourself. Stay in one place for an extended period of time to rest and regroup. Like I said before, I find this extremely helpful. It's really nice to just know that you're not going to be moving and making decisions, and you can just really relax. No matter how prepared I am, it's not enough. So much is learned as you go. You learn by doing, and if you wait until you're prepared for van life, you will never start. So be courageous and punch fear in the face. Just remember, everything gets better. It really does get better, I promise you. And if you don't like it, you can always change your mind. So there you have it, 27 things experienced van lifers wish they knew before starting. What can you add to the list? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more insightful van life content. Hit the notification bell to never miss an update, and share this video with fellow adventurers who aspire to embark on their own van life journey. Thanks for watching. Stay wild and stay free.